Hey everyone, welcome to CSS Battle Saturday Night Live. Who all are here? Welcome. Let me know in the chat if you're here. I see a few people already. Let me know. And in case I am not audible or visible correctly, let me know that too. Hey Soham, hello. Seth is here too. Some you're here for the first time, I believe. I'm seeing you for the first time, I guess. Welcome to the live stream. Thanks for joining in. Gabe is here too. Hello everyone. Welcome to the live stream. Thanks for joining in. Just posting on Twitter, on X, if anyone else wants to join. I'm here for the second time. Okay, I guess I missed it then. Weak memory, I guess. Cool, but yeah, welcome all. Welcome to the stream. Gabe is definitely for the first time, I think. Is my screen visible correctly? I think there's something wrong. Yeah, now it should be showing correctly. By the way, like, how do you folks like the new waiting, I don't know what to call it, waiting video loop? I just made it 5 minutes back using AI for the live stream. I was bored with that old image that we used to have in the waiting area. Oh, Chris is here too. Hey, Chris, welcome to the live stream. Cool. If you're here for the first time, we try to do these streams every Saturday. Uh, it's night here in India, so that's why Saturday Night Live. But uh, yeah, the idea is to do it every Saturday. And we started with primarily to understand the top daily target solutions, the creative approaches that goes behind those top solutions. I personally wanted to understand them, and so I started these live streams where I, together with you all, try to figure out how solutions work, and then learn, of course, together tricks, tips, and the amazing approaches by crazy people. So that's how we started. That's why we started. And recently, we also started doing versus battles on the live stream itself. So versus battles are one-on-one battles. Um, we do some of those. So if you want to do a one-on-one versus battle with me, um, just ping on the chat. I'll create a versus public room. Just join that, and it will be fun. These are fun. Cool. So I guess a lot of people already joined on the stream. We Let's start with the daily target today, and then at the end we can do some versus battles. Okay, let's go to daily targets where we have one target unlocking every day. I have one in mind already. Um, that's an interesting one. Like why I picked it. It's one of the target for which. I think Jiraj commented on the Discord server that the top solution, I think it was by Elia probably. And I think the solution is pretty crazy. And Jiraj said I would sweat if I try to figure that solution out on the live stream. So Jiraj, challenge accepted. I'll try to do that. I'm not saying we would figure it out, but I think I have you all folks here on the live stream. So I'll probably need your help, and we can do it together. I think it was this one. Let me just confirm on the um, Discord server. Yeah, but I think it's that one. Um, yeah, it was that orange one with yellow lines. 2nd September. Yeah, 1st September. Yeah. So it was a comment on 2nd. So that's the one. So let's try to figure out how the top solutions on this target are working. Before we go on to the top solution, we always try to see ourselves how can we create this target using some trivial approaches. If you forget about code golfing, how would you create this? So always try to do that first. And for this target, it's not too difficult to understand how one could recreate this. Um, the most simplest approach would be just have 6 rectangles. So is my on? Yeah. So these could be individual 6 rectangles here, and we could just place them um, absolutely at the right positions with the right dimensions. I think they're all same dimensions. So and with the background color, that should give this thing pretty easily. The other approach could be linear gradients, I think. So we could have one linear gradient. Um, but we'll need 2 linear gradients. I was thinking we could create this thing with a linear gradient, starting from transparent, then yellow, transparent, yellow, transparent. But then we want this gradient as well. Uh, let's see. Maybe we could use the HTML and body separately. So this thing could be HTML, this could be body. We could position them so, and then they could have their individual linear gradients. The HTML could have a gradient, this one, and the body could have starting from orange color so that it hides HTML behind it. So it could start with this whatever pink, orange color, and then have yellow, again orange, yellow, and so on. So that's another approach one could use to create this in the most trivial manner. Chris says, I can't remember what the top solution was, but I did this one selector and with box shadows. Nice. Yeah, box shadows could be used as well. So you create one rectangle with an element, could be body, and then the other yellow rectangles could be simply the box shadows of the original one. So you create 5 box shadows out of it, position them at the right place, and done. Cool. So now that we know how we could create it, let's see how did Bio create it. So Bio has done this in 95 characters. Ilya has it on on the same characters, but I think the solution is quite different. Uh, Bio has used some ASCII characters there, 3 dashes, while Ilya's solution doesn't use any ASCII um, characters. It's all HTML and body, I think. But yeah, let's see. Let's load up Bio's solution. State, I did one linear gradient with an inset box shadow to hide the lines I didn't want. Then margin and scale -1 to flip the body. Interesting. Scale -1, yeah, that's a pretty interesting trick to flip things. Cool, so we have Bio solutions in the editor. Let me just bump up the font size. And in fact, today I finally have a editor plugin for unminifying these code golf solutions. Finally, yes. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it, it worked. I mean, couldn't unminify properly everything, but I think it's a good way to start. I don't have to do things all by myself. Okay, so this is what it is. Let's see what's happening. Let's comment out everything. Oops. Okay, so this solution has three dash characters. There is a dash and then there is a space. So actually it's three, four, five. It's actually five characters uh, being used to create something. So there's a dash, there's a space, there's a dash, there's a space, and then a dash again. And there's a bunch of styles. There's just one rule set, and that applies to ampersand. That is a way of applying styles to the HTML element, just a code golfing way to target the HTML element. So on the HTML, first of all, the solution has a background, which we need this color background. And by the way, you can also see the dashes. If I just zoom in, you can see the three dashes here right now showing pretty small in 16 pixel, which is the default font size, and in black color. So that's there. Just zoom out. Yep. So background, and then there is a color set so that our dashes get a yellow color. They become yellow dashes. So I think yellow dashes would finally turn into these yellow um, yellow rectangles that we want. But let's see. Just that is just a guess. Okay, so now that we have yellow dashes, the next thing the solution adds is a text shadow, which is a pretty big X offset and a pretty big negative offset in the Y direction. X offset and a Y offset. Y is a negative offset. So X offset should give us some dashes in form of shadows, of course, on the right, whereas the negative Y would give us would take up would take the shadows a little bit up. It would lift the shadows. So somewhere here is where I believe the shadows would form for this element. Uh, in all, we shouldn't be able to see the shadows given the pretty big numbers for the offsets. So yeah, we don't see any shadows even if I enable the text shadow declaration here. And then on the HTML, there is a negative margin, a pretty big number, 115 pixels of negative margin. And if we have a negative margin on all the four sides of an element, that should get pulled from all the sides, thereby enlarging the element itself. So right now, if we see, I'll have to zoom out a bit. So if we see right now, this is our HTML, right? Exactly 400 into 300. But if we turn on the margin declaration, it should become a little bigger, exactly by 115 pixels on all the four sides. And that's what happens. You can see the HTML has grown in size, and so the dashes have also gone out of the viewport, right? So the dashes are somewhere here right now. And of course, the text shadows are much beyond them, and so we can't see any of the thing in the body. Cool. So that's the four declarations. Gives us nothing but just a background to us, and all that is left is turning on the font uh, declaration. But one thing before that, before we enable the font declaration. So this is this solution uses ASCII characters, and in almost all of the ASCII solutions, you would always find the font being set, uh, particularly for the font size, in some cases for the line height as well. So that's what is being done here. There's a font size and a line height being set on the HTML element, specifically for our dashes and the spaces. But the thing is, when a solution uses ASCII characters and the font properties are manipulated on them, it could show up differently for different players, depending on what browser you are on. So, because not browser specifically, but what operating system you are on, because the default font that gets used when you create a page here, that is different on different operating systems. So depending on the environment, depending on your OS, you could see the end result pretty different from one another, right? So just a disclaimer there. Once we turn on font property here, it's not necessarily going to get us exactly the solution, the target, but it could be a little different from that. So let's turn on the font declaration, the last one, and see what it does. And as expected, it it behaves nothing like the target that we want to create, but we know this gets us 100%. And the reason is because the solutions are actually evaluated not on a Mac machine, but it's a Linux box where there is a Chromium environment, and that is where it's evaluated. So these dashes, these ASCII characters with this particular font properties set on them would show up differently over there, and uh, because it gets 100% match the solution, it would show up something like exactly like basically exactly like the target that we want to replicate. So that's the reason why we don't see the solution forming the target um, for this level. But uh, generally, the players use another tool that's by Bio again, um, to actually create the ASCII solutions if ever uh, ASCII characters have to be used. I think Pio made a website for all the CSS tools, I think. I'm not sure what he named the site. CSS Battle Tools or CSS Tools? I don't remember. But yeah, you could search for CSS Battle Previewer as well, and that should take us to the tool which Bio has created. And the thing with the tool is it doesn't show you the rendered output by rendering the solution on its it's Tyler's previewer. It's not Bio's previewer. Maybe this one, if anyone remembers this tool. It works on a Mac if you remove the closing Nadia Beautify. Oh, okay. I removed it. It doesn't seem to work. Is there something else? That is the URL for BO's previewer tool. This one, right? Yeah. Let's open it up. It's also made a site. If anyone remembers that site, let me know. Oops. By the way, Gabe, it didn't work for me. I removed the closing curly brace, but still didn't work. Nope. I'm missing something. I could load up the solution again. Um, yeah, you're actually right. Uh, it's working. My bad. What did my plugin do? Yeah, it works now as well. What was the issue? Space. When I put a new line after dash, it seems to be breaking. Try an A for the font name instead of the quote mark. I have issues with that sometimes too. Yeah, extra line causes an issue. Why? Does that get used as the font name? So quote has to be there, I think, because it needs a font name, and the font name has to start with a quote, I believe. So you can't just put an A or a B here. It has to be something starting with a quote. So quote A, B, anything works here, and you can also do away with anything at all and just have the quote, and that too, that's just a starting quote, and that works. So, uh, yeah, that's fine. But what if I put a new line here? I think that gets counted as a invalid font because the font shouldn't have a new line character inside it. And since we have an opening uh, quote there, the new line gets interpreted as a font, I think. So that's why this fails. If we had closed it with a semicolon, then also it doesn't work because the semicolon gets counted as a font name as well, font family, because it's just an opening quote. If I close the opening quote though, and then it should be fine because now we have closed the quote and the font name is an empty string. So anything after this that we do is not counted in the declaration, so it's all good now. So yeah, that's what the issue. Thanks for pointing out, Gabe. Uh, so like I said, ASCII characters, ASCII solutions won't render exactly like they do on the scoring backend, where the solutions are evaluated. And that's what you can also see, though it's nearly similar to the target at hand, but you can see there are certain things which are quite different. For example, you can see the space here. There's this rectangle is going too much outside the viewport, so it's a little bit offsetted uh, to what compared to what we need, and that's on my Mac here. But if the solution is to be evaluated on a Linux box with the default fonts and all, it would give exactly the target, and so that's why it gets 100% match. Cool. So, yeah, we were just talking about this previewer tool. The way it works, the reason why it works is because it doesn't render the code in the browser itself. Instead, it sends it to a backend where the code is converted to an image, and it's a Linux environment similar to what would be there on a CSSBattle scoring backend. So it's a Linux environment where the code gets converted into an image, and the image is what is sent back to the browser, and that is what is rendered here. So if we were to put that solution here, you would see it renders exactly the way we want in the target. So you can see there's no space anymore. There's no space here. This rectangle is perfect. All the elements are at the right positions, and that's why this gets 100%, even though it doesn't look like one, at least on my system. So that's the thing. But yeah, let's get back to the solution and try to figure out um, why this is working. So we figured out till here it was all just like three dashes with some text shadows on the dashes. which again not visible, they are out of the viewport, and there is a big margin which enlarges the HTML element. But then there is a font that kicks in, puts in a big font size. So let's see what that font size is doing. So if we select HTML in the Dev Tools, let's try to do it step by step and in smaller steps and see what's happening. So this is HTML right now. The dashes are out of the viewport, but if we were to increase the font size for the text in the HTML tag, inside the HTML tag, the dashes would become bigger, right? Because we're increasing the font size. And as in when they become bigger, they should start moving inside because like they're becoming bigger, so they'll move inside the viewport now. We'll start seeing them, and that's what happens here. Okay, so they are becoming bigger and bigger. We also see the text shadows now. I think the lower one, they are the actual dashes. We can't actually see them. I think these are, let me just, yeah, these are the actual dashes, as in the text that we have written inside the body. And I think this is the text shadow. Considering there is a negative y offset on the shadow, they should show somewhere up, right? So I think that's what the case is. But if we keep increasing the font size, I'm not sure how this compares to what the actual font size is in the solution. It's 640Q, right? Let's see. 640Q doesn't show up anything. So if we uncollapse this, we would see that this is a shorthand being used, and it sets a font size of 640Q and a line height of 53Q, right? So as you can see, the font size itself doesn't do much change on the screen in the rendering. So that means line height is quite significant here. That is what gets the dashes in the right position. Okay, so still not sure how line height could be actually. So if we make this 0, what does that change? Let's do one thing. Let's turn off margin so that we can see the dashes in the viewport, and then let's see what's happening when we tweak the font size. So let's start in smaller steps and see what's happening with the font size. So this is Q unit being used, which is quarter of a centimeter, I think. And increasing the font size just makes the rectangles bigger and bigger. Oh, BO is here. Hey, BO. Welcome to the stream. 16 centimeter for font size works too, by the way. Okay. I think that would be much easier to reach because that's a bigger unit. So increasing the font size simply increases the dashes, makes them bigger, and we can see the dashes after this point, but I think at 16 centimeter, as Bio says, the dashes themselves should become exactly like we want these rectangles. The dashes should become exactly the same dimension. Only if we could see the dashes at this point. So if we increase the negative margin, yeah, we can start seeing the dashes. So you can see this is what one dash looks like with a 16 centimeter font size. um, exactly like the rectangles we need. But if you can imagine, these are pretty big dashes right now, and the second dash here would be somewhere here, right? And that's not what we need. We don't want the dashes side by side, but instead we want them stacked vertically, and we want two sets of them, right? Two vertical sets of dashes. You need the negative margin because the big font pushes all the characters below the visible area. Yep. So, uh, yeah, that's what one dash looks like. And you can also see the other dash just besides it. If I just move it here. Oh, wait. So this is one dash. This is one dash. This is the second dash, which is coming from our text, right? So these are the dashes, but then is this the text shadow? Because the text shadow shouldn't be showing below the characters. They should be on the top, right? Let's see, I think we can verify that. So if we reduce the number here, okay, yeah. Um, the bottom one is the actual text that we have in the body, and the top ones are coming from the text shadow. Cool. So let's get it back to 180 as in the solution. Cool. So the bottom one, that's the uh, text, and the top ones are the shadows. Now, still not vertical, that's what we want. And the only thing remaining is the line height. Let's play with the line height here. I don't understand how the line height could make the dashes from horizontally aligned to vertical aligned. So if we make the 0, what does that change? Okay. So with 0 line height, first of all, um, when we have a character, any character in the body, the line height is by default 1, which is, um, I think it's 1, and that would depend on the font size. Whatever font size is, same as that, the line height would be there, and that's why you see some space on top and below any character in the body, right? But when we make this line height 0, um, the top and the bottom extra spacing that every character takes on the page, that would just go off. It won't have a height of its own. Any character won't have any height, and that is why with the line height 0, you can see the dashes just come inside the viewport again. Even without any margin, they just come in again because the height of every character has essentially become 0, and so even with a 16 centimeter font size, like we can see them inside the viewport. Again, the bottom one is the actual character, and yes, the top one is the text shadow. But the line height is not 0 in Bayes' solution. It's some number, exactly 53Q, right? So what happens if we increase? Okay, interesting. So increasing the line height is giving a line height to every character. But then what I don't get is, with a line height of 0, why are the dashes overlapping each other? Why are they on top of each other? Let's remove the font size. So we have our, or we can make it a small number maybe. All right, okay. So this is these are the 3 dashes coming from our text, and this is the line height that is there. If we decrease the line height, this is what I would expect. The height decreases for the characters. but at 0, oh, I see. Okay. Uh, they got stacked because the font size increased and um, the web page itself is by default responsive, right? As in, if there is text and there's no space in a line, the text just moves to the next line. Uh, that's what I forgot. So, if we were to increase the font size at this point, you can see like there is space for three dashes in a line, so they show up side by side because they are by default in line. Every character is in line. But when we increase the font size further, there is no space for three dashes in a line, so the third one moves to the next line, right? And we can't see it on the next line because the line height is 0. So essentially, every line is a 0 height line, and that means all lines are on top of each other, right? So that's the uh, reason why we don't see the dash, the third dash that has moved to the next line. It's again on the same place itself because there's no height for the lines. But if you were to increase the line height a bit, you can see the third dash, it has moved down, right? And if we were to increase the font size further, the second dash would come down as well, and we can see that uh, correctly now. Now it makes sense. So just to recap, these are the three dashes which are coming from here. They have a pretty big font size, uh, so that they can't show up besides each other in a line, and so they stack up vertically. With the right font size, we could get them to show in the same dimension as we want in the target. And with the correct line height, we could create these spacings between the dashes themselves, right? So that's what is being done here. And then, of course, once we have the one set of dashes, we can just create another set of dashes with a text shadow correctly positioned where we want them to be using the X and Y offsets, right? So that's the amazing trick being used here. Just a play of font size, um, right font size, right line height, and then creating the other set of dashes, rectangles with a shadow. Not box shadow here, but in this case, it's text shadow since we are dealing with characters. Crazy, crazy solution. Amazing. Bio, if you are here, hats off. Doesn't the minus 115 margin make the text wrap to the new lines? Yeah, I mean, that's the margin itself is just to set the dashes at the right place because we want to have a right balance of the font size and also so that the dashes don't show up in one line, right? So we want to like the font size is fixed. That is exactly the amount that will give them the dimensions of the rectangle in the target. So that's given. The font size is like you can't change it. But then depending on that font size, we want to set the HTML width to some number that doesn't allow the dashes to show up in one line, and that's why the margin sets that width on the HTML tag. Good play of all the properties together to create this whole target. Amazing. Cool. Ilia's solution again on same number of characters. Um, it's pretty different. So let's fire that up as well and try to see if that works or not. And why on earth is this solution even working? I don't see any ASCII stuff, and it's creating the rectangles all wrong, and it's 100% still. What's happening here? Okay, let me unminify. Okay, it's using border dash border. So there is some ASCII-ness to it. I missed that. Cool. Let's try to figure this one out and see if we do sweat while figuring it out or not. Okay, so no elements here, it's just HTML and the body. With us, there is one rule on universal selector, so that gets applied to HTML and body both. And then there is this rule just for the HTML element. This gets applied just for the HTML element. And for the sake of clarity, let's make it HTML. Okay, I'll comment out few things here. I'll leave the body, sorry, the HTML background as it is because um, that's what we want. We want a background, so that's what we get here. Where should we start? Should we start with the HTML tag or with the universal selector? Let's start with start. Okay, so the first thing that gets set on both HTML and the body is a border, right? It's a dash border, a yellow one, and that's it. There's no border width as such, just a border. So that's what we get with the first declaration. And then there is a margin, which is all four different numbers. There is some positive on the top, on the right, on the bottom, there's a negative, on the left, there is a negative margin. And remember, this is all getting set on both HTML and the body. Okay, coming to the HTML tag now, there is a margin on the HTML tag again, which is being overridden from the margin that we got here. So essentially, uh, this is a pattern that you would often see in a code golfing solution where you want to set particular set of properties on just the body or just the HTML, but you don't set it on the particular selector, but rather on the universal selector, because you know you're gonna override the properties for the other tag later, right? So it could be that we don't want the border. I'm just saying it could be that we don't want the border on both HTML and the body, but doesn't matter. Even if you set it on the selector, on the universal selector, you can always override it for the other one, right? For the body or for the HTML according to the requirement. So that's what is being done with the margin here. Even though the margin here gets set on both the tags, we don't want the same margin on both the tags. And that is what is being achieved here with a different margin on just the um, HTML tag. So HTML tag sets a margin, um, pretty big margins on all the four sides, and that gives us this. Okay, let's try to figure out what's happening here. How did we get here? And one thing that we can do is put some outline. Okay, we don't see any outline on our tags. Oh, sorry. I think black is fine. Cool. So this is what it is, and we can make it more clear by separating the outlines. So you can see now, with the proper margins in place for the HTML and for the body tag, this is what they become. The HTML is the one here with the red outline, and the black one that you see, that's the body, right? So with everything opened up, all the declarations opened up in the solution except for the scale, which is the last one. This is what we get. So essentially, what I think is happening is the body and the HTML tags. They form these two um, elements with the three dashes, and um, why the dashes show up vertically is what we want to figure out next. We'll come to that. But essentially, like the two elements here are, this one is the body tag, that's the HTML tag, and that's what is happening here. And the scale just comes in at the end and makes them exactly the dimensions that we want. So if we were to open up the scale declaration as well, you can see they land up at the right position, not exactly at the right position, because again, this is um, the dashes coming from the default font. Uh, the dashes are, the border dashes are coming from the default font on the system, and whenever you rely on the default font, it's gonna be machine dependent, it's gonna be system dependent, and that's the reason why we see four dashes even though we need just three, and this that's the reason it gives us 100% on the actual system, on the actual CSSBattle backend, but not on our Mac browser here. Cool. So all this stuff is like I think it's clear why it forms. The only missing bit, what I specifically don't understand here is how did we get the four dashes to show up like this? So I think what we can do is to figure that out is we can lower down maybe the margins a bit, and that would give us some idea. We can also lower down the scaling a bit. Yeah, I think this should be okay. So, cool. So we can ignore one of the elements and just focus on one, because same thing happening on both HTML and the body. So if we figure out one, we can figure out another. Okay, let's see. So right now, there are a lot of dashes showing inside the body and the HTML tag. When what we expect out of a border is that it should form a border, right? Essentially, just a border. Uh, okay, I think we need to play with the numbers, trim them down a bit so that things become a little more practically sized for us to figure out what's happening with the border dashes. Could do one more thing. Instead of putting stuff on HTML, what if we... Okay, yeah, I think that's fine. We can remove the scaling altogether. And this is what we get. Okay, now I see. So now it's more clear. We can see clearly the HTML and the body tag. But let's just focus on one of them. If you look at body right now, which is the one with the black outline, it has a border, it has a dash border, and it shows up normally like you would expect a border, a dash border to show on any element. That's all good. But notice what happens when I increase the margin here, right? This margin, which is the left and right margin. So as you increase the margin, the element gets pushed inside from that edge wherever you put the margin, which essentially means it reduces its size, right, from that side. So that's what is happening here. This is the default um, width that the HTML tag has without the margin. But if you keep increasing the margin from the left and right size, you can see the elements are they're shrinking in the inline direction. They become smaller and smaller, And at this point, you can see what would happen if let's put in a scale, maybe 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that should make it more clear. So the dashes, they're all good, but as you make the elements smaller and smaller, 45, 46, 47, you can see that they're coming closer and closer. And what would happen if you go one step further is the left and the right dashes, they are vertical dashes, right? They just mix into each other. So the left and the right corresponding dash from the two left and right sides, they just collapse and then they form one rectangle, right? And that is why with this particular value of margin, the left and right dashes, they have collapsed and they've formed one yellow dash. You can just say that they are now one dash, just one, right? From the two, they have collapsed into one. So that's what happens, and that's how we get these bunch of dashes, right? Spanning from the complete height of the element, we get these dashes one after another. And all that remains now is to set the right height for not just the height, but the right width and the height for the HTML and the body elements, so that in the end we get these three dashes here, right? And since it's coming from the font, we want to get the three dashes on a Linux system, right? On a Linux environment. So that's what happens with uh, with the solution here. We basically have if you talk about just one of the set of dashes, this is body, and it has border, it has left and top and right and dashed borders on all the sides, but the borders are made to collapse into one another in the inline direction by setting the right dimension. The borders are pretty big, and the container itself is made smaller so that the left and right borders collapse to form essentially one rectangle here, right? So that's what we get. Two left and right borders collapsing into one another, forming one rectangle, and then all is required is to set the correct dimensions, the correct scale, so that the borders finally form a rectangle and give us this exact size, right? So that's what the scale comes in for. So that's a crazy approach. I mean, how can one think like these dashes are not actually dashes? They are not just one element, they are not just one border, but they are two different borders on an element made to show up like a single rectangle. That's the creative, crazy, you know, that's the creativity I'm here for. That's what I'm talking about. You need to be able to visualize how these things can be created, right? If you saw the trivial approaches that I was talking about, I was talking about creating these six rectangles using six elements. The box shadows would reduce the number of elements, but that's what the trivial solution was, creating six elements, putting in six elements in the body to create the six rectangles. When this solution, if you see, it's exactly zero elements. I mean, the container is there, but the dashes itself are no element at all. There are borders, and even like it's not even one border, it's like two borders mixed into each other to create this whole illusion. It's like magic. It's simply magic. Crazy, crazy solution, Ilya. Hats off to you, man. Again, lovely solution. Cool. It's almost time for a live stream end, but we won't end it unless we do versus battles. So, folks, it's time for versus battles. I'm gonna create a room, a public one. I think I have credits. Yes, I do have credits. Yep. Cool. I'll create a public room and you should see this room on the homepage, on the CSS Battle homepage. So anyone who wants to fight me, who wants to do one-on-one CSS fighting with me, just go on the homepage, join the room, and let's fight. I'll keep it easy. I want to keep it easy. I'm waiting. Who wants to fight? Let's see. Okay, it's Soham. Soham is ready, and so am I. Soham, is it your first versus battle? I see your rating as 1200. So either it's your first one or maybe you equalize it
Three,
back to
2,
1200. I don't know.
1. Play.
Cool. Let's go. Oh, I should shut down my inspector. What is this? I see two circles, but then is it a fourth circle? Anyways, let's quickly form the circles. Okay, I'll put in why is my text editor not working? I can't press new line here. What's wrong? I should refresh. No, it's still not working. What just happened? I can't enter. I can't put a new line in the code. Anyways, at least I can type other stuff. Cool. So let's put in a background. I'm nervous now. Okay. See where I'm. Gosh, I'm really nervous. Okay. Yeah, Soham has a circle already. Why is the new line not working? Is it the theme? I think it's the matrix theme. Okay, I have the three circles and let's make them position absolute. I'm gonna write very unformatted code because I can't put new lines in my editor. Let's put in some things to refer the elements. Okay, 2 minutes left. We gonna put this top -10, I think. Left is fine. No, maybe 10, 20, 30. A little less than. Okay. Anyways, let's put in the second circle at the right spot. It's gonna be same. This is gonna be big number. I'm gonna submit.
Just 10 seconds left.
Okay, I think it's Soham, please submit.
Player, hit the ready button.
Forgot the taunt number. 270, 280, 290. Is that it? Yeah. And it's more than 510, I think. Let's just quickly put in. Oh, not having to put a new line is making me crazy. 85, okay. Close. This is gonna be left is gonna be 50%. Top 80. Oh, why am I putting 100? Okay, 210, 10, 10, 10, 20. 20, okay. Why am I using percentages? 19 seconds. 20, 30, 40. I'm gonna hit submit. 50. Is it right? No, it's a little bit up. 96%. Still a draw. Nobody won, but yeah, you were close. I think you spent a lot of time on the third circle. Could have got that in the right place or almost right place. Cool, fun target. It was not difficult, but I don't know. It was difficult for me. I should turn off the Matrix theme. Maybe then it works. There's some issue with the. I don't know why it should be. Maybe because of the font in the editor. Yeah, let's pay it the normal way. Cool. Let's do one more versus battle. If someone wants to fight, someone else wants to fight. I have a public room ready. Join from the home page or from wherever. Hey, Nagesh is here. Hey, welcome, Nagesh. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you again. Make it 4. 4 is the sweet spot. Just the right amount of time required to get 100% and to make you sweat.
3, 2, 1. Play.
And go. Woohoo. I like this. Okay, this is gonna be fun. Let's get the red, and I can't still put a new line. Outline 20 pixel. It's gonna be solid and it's gonna be yellow. Let's get the right yellow. Why did I type yellow? Okay. I got the outline. It's gonna be this. Let's put in a margin. Top margin, I think that's too much. 80, 90. No, it should be 100. I think 0, 0, and then 100. Is that right? 45? No, it should be 40. Wow, that was fast. That was crazy fast. Nice. Man, I was thinking I could have finished it in a minute or so, but you are very quick. Crazy match, man. Let's say one more. Who wants to fight? Let's do one last battle. Hopefully, I get to win this one. Hey, Gabe is here. Hi, Gabe. Time to fight. Okay.
Player, hit the ready button.
Yes. Cool. What's that?
Three, 2, 1. Play.
Woohoo. Interesting. Okay. This is gonna be blue, and the width is a little more. Height is still less. Let's put in a border radius. I think that's good. That's looking good. Maybe 85 and 115. Let's position these. I, J. We need 3. And let's get on to the positioning stuff. I is position. Let's position the first one itself. I should make it rotated by default. 81 here, 115 here. Yeah, it should be more. 90. I think that's good. Position apps. Full loot. Left is gonna be 100. Top is -5 or 10, 20, 30, 40. I don't have the background yet. Just in case we're not able to finish, let's have a background. Give, try submitting as and when you have something. Don't wait for the end. One who gets more percentage match wins, remember. Okay, so time to position the next one. This is a little more to the right and too much down and rotate it by some angle. I think it's 45. No, it's not 45 watt, it's 60. Yep. And then one more. I can't still put a new line, and that is making me crazy. This is gonna be somewhere here, and this is same, and rotation is gonna be opposite. Okay, let's get him at the right position. Okay, they're much bigger. 89, 82, a close battle. 90 is less. I think 100, and this is gonna be 120. Yeah, I think this is good. 185. 41 seconds left, and it's time to play with the numbers. Little more to the right. It looks good. I think I have the dimensions wrong. I'll still submit. It gets closer to 100. This is intense. Okay, 97. And what do I do? I think this is more. 130. Would that be too much? Okay, fun one. Draw again. So basically, 3 battles, and I couldn't win even one today. But nevertheless, fun battles. Thanks, Gabe. Thanks for playing. Thanks for fighting. Cool. All right, folks. This is it then. Time to say bye-bye. Again, great target today. Love both the solutions by Bio and Ilya. Amazing approaches. And thanks all for joining in. Thanks for fighting. Gabe, Soham, and Nagesh. Fun versus battles as always. We see you next Saturday. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. That's how you'll get notified about the future streams. We also have events set on the Discord channel. But yeah, anyways, subscribe to the channel. I was hitting rotate and transform issues. Did you use the wrong property or what? I mean, rotate always is an issue with the positioning. You can't position things at integer values. It's always weird. I wasn't fast enough on the reload for a versus. Maybe next time. Yeah, maybe next time since we're out of time. Cool. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you all on next Saturday. Make sure you come there and say hi. Okay. Till then, happy CSS battling. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.